What's up, good people? Thank you for clicking play on another episode of Big Man, Tiny Kingdom. It was 1 year ago that I purchased my travel trailer. It is a 2020 Jayco 175RD, which I have affectionately named Babar. Obtaining Babar was a long time coming, something that I have been wanting and working on since about 2015. I purposely took my time. I did a ton of research. I asked people I know who own RVs a lot of questions. I wanted to make sure that an RV was really what I wanted. I wanted to make sure that the money wasn't funny, that my funds supported purchasing one. I also rented one for a week, and I'm glad I did that before buying because it showed me that I indeed wanted to own one. For a long time, I was unsure what type of RV I wanted. I originally wanted a Class A because I felt like I had to have the space those big rigs provide. I wanted a king-size bed, a full-size shower, and plenty of lounge space for family to fit in. Being a big dude, I wanted to make sure that while on the road, it still felt house-like. But my wants and needs changed. My sons are grown and don't go camping with me that much. Minimalism started growing on me, and that's around the time when I became Big Man Tiny Kingdom. So I no longer wanted the big rig, decided to take a look at the Class Cs, and that was going to be the type of RV purchase I would make. But then I bought a new vehicle, and from that point, I figured that since I now have a truck, why not go with a travel trailer? I was sold on that idea, and fast forward, after all the research on the different manufacturers and models, after all the visits to dealerships and getting a nice amount of debt paid off, now I finally have Babar. However, this isn't my first RV. There are way too many people who incorrectly define RVs. The most common recreational vehicle that people identify with are the large motor coaches. But by dictionary definition, an RV can be a variety of different vehicles: camper vans, travel trailers, the pop-up tent trailers. Those are all defined as RVs. And so are truck campers, boat houses, ATVs, and I can even make a case for all of the car dwellers out there that maybe even minivans and SUVs can be considered RVs as well. Whether the motor coach owners recognize it or not, my RV has been my truck camper, and I've been doing that for many years, so I'm not new to owning an RV. However, I have felt like I outgrew camping out of my truck. I now want to be able to stand up while I'm inside, and I want some of the amenities like the kitchen, the living room, etc. I want that stuff to be inside the rig instead of always having to show up to the campsite and spend way too much time unpacking everything from the back of the truck. I felt like after the hours of drive time to the campgrounds, and we all know that check-in time is typically 2 or 3 o'clock. Seems like that's a nationwide thing for check-in to be around that time in the afternoon. Well, by the time I got everything set up, it's getting closer to dusk. I'm out of energy, and I might as well get some food going and get ready to relax in my chair for the rest of the evening. But instead, I have to rush to get everything in its place like I want it to be for the weekend or however many days that I'm at the campgrounds, and I need to make haste about it before the sun goes down. Although I respect the process, I got to that point where I just didn't want to waste most of my first day of camping setting up the site. Now that I have the travel trailer, there's still some setup to be done, but it's definitely a whole lot less to deal with. One of the best things I like about it is that the setup time with the travel trailer doesn't have to be the first thing that I do. When I arrive at the campgrounds after hours of driving, I prefer to relax a little bit, and then I can tackle getting everything set up later or even the next morning. Previously, because I was in the truck camper, I had to get everything out of the back of the truck in order to get to the bed so that I could lay down and just rest my mind and body for a little. I like that I don't have to do that anymore. Now that I'm traveling in Babar, the only thing I should do when I arrive, and I really don't even have to do that right away, but I do like to plug into shore power at the campsite as soon as possible so that I can switch my fridge from running on the battery. Even that's not a thing I absolutely have to rush to do because I have a small fridge and my house battery is more than capable of handling the small power draw. I still tend to make sure connecting power is the first thing I do before getting too comfortable, because if I fall asleep and forget about it for too many hours, then I end up with food or drinks not being the temperature I would like them to be. Anyways, I'm loving the transition from the truck camper to the travel trailer. And with that being said, I wanted to discuss on this episode how I feel about purchasing Babar, with it now being 1 year later. This topic comes about because I had a friend recently ask me if I had any regrets or buyer's remorse, or if there were any things that the RV doesn't have that I wished I did. And that is a great question, because even though I researched the hell out of various RVs before I purchased, when it finally came down to the day, I rushed into accepting the terms. I didn't care what they were. The only outcome that I wanted was for me to be driving away with the RV in tow. I told my friend that I would think about it and answer the question on my podcast. I think it makes for a good discussion, not just for myself, but for any first-time buyer or even one of you OGs out there looking to get a new rig. I'm sure that I am not the only one who has made this type of purchase and afterwards wish there were some things that were different about it. And here's the thing, even if you have researched forever, have went to dealerships and saw a dozen of them, there always seems to be something that the one that you know you want for sure doesn't have. Even still, you go with that one because it was better than the other options. So it's never going to be perfect. I knew that. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get everything that I wanted, but with what I had with Babar, I am still absolutely blessed and grateful for it, and I'm satisfied with my purchase. But there are some things that I wished I had about it, and let's go ahead and get into that. One of the first things that comes to mind, hate to admit it, but I regret not purchasing a Class C. And I mean to say that definitely not in a negative way. I love my travel trailer, but when it comes to driving it uphill, parking it in reverse, hitching and unhitching it, it's a lot of thought that goes into all of that. And those are things that I wish were the least of my concerns. When I'm on a camping getaway, like I said a little earlier, the main reason why I went with a travel trailer is because I already had a truck and figured it just made sense to have both vehicles with me while camping. I get the RV to the site. After it's parked and set up, I'm able to still use the truck to drive to other places if needed. And that is a big deal for me because I do like to go sightseeing to check out what else is in the area. But if I could go back and remake my decision after having Babar for the last year, I believe I would have chosen a Class C this time around. Another thing I think about is my bed, if you can picture this scenario. The RV is rectangular, and I have the horizontal facing bed. I would prefer to have it in the vertical position. Now, first off, when I purchased it, in my thinking at that time, I had no plans of there being another person around that I needed to care about laying next to me. So the corner horizontal bed was fine by me. However, since I'm talking about things I would want to be different, as far as accommodating a significant other, the bed position just doesn't work that great for two people. Fortunately for me, though it would be cool if it was a different configuration, I ain't got to worry about that right now. But if I could go back to last year, or if there's ever another RV purchase in the future, I would choose a vertical facing bed where there was a walk around space on both sides. And whether there was another person in the bed with me or not, I still think I would choose that type of bed because I think it would also be easier to put the sheets on the bed. With this corner bed concoction, it is definitely never a chore I like to do. If you know, you know. There are some other tiny regrets. I would have loved to pay for the RV with cash rather than finance it and have the added interest. But I don't mind the monthly payment. I can afford it, and I knew what I was getting into when I started. Another one is that I purchased from a very small dealership, and based on the communication since driving it off the lot, I feel like I would have been better supported with a bigger company with more locations and more staff. And I would have loved my RV to come from the dealership with the products I want to have, rather than having to add them myself later. Products like a recliner chair. I prefer that over bench seats. One of those combo microwave convection ovens. Not that I would use the oven part that much, but it would be nice to have. Also, one of the max air fans installed on the ceiling to keep the air moving around the RV for better ventilation. A 12-volt fridge instead of the propane kind. I'm not a fan of using propane, so I have already switched out all the propane appliances, and it just seems like it would have been a good idea to go with a 12-volt fridge, which draws less power. One of the smart thermostats. I would love to be able to control the temperature from anywhere. Got to love technology helping to make life easier. And lastly, solar installation. I am having the time of my life getting someone with reasonable rates to take care of this for me. Sure, I could DIY it after taking a course on YouTube University, but that type of modification just ain't my forte. I'm sure eventually someone will come along to get it done for me.
You're crazy.
Even though after 1 year of owning Babar and identifying some things I wish were different, I am more than good with what I have now, and I am in no rush to make any changes. It's been great. It's been a blessing enjoying this RV. All praise to the Most High. Maybe in the years to come, I'll do an update to this episode to share how I feel about things at that time. Y'all keep it kosher, good people. This is Big Man, Tiny Kingdom.
If you could see this life through my eyes, you wouldn't be the same. All the trust turned into lies cause of all the snakes. Fell out of love a couple of times, reading the signs too late. This is the blind, leading the blind, trying to guide the way. Trying to guide the way. This is the blind, leading the blind, trying to guide the way. Trying to guide the way. This is the blind, leading the blind, trying to guide the way. Trying to guide the way. This is the blind, leading the blind, trying to guide the way. Trying to guide the way. This is the blind, leading the blind, trying to guide the way. 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 Trying to guide the way.